Woo!
Anyway, we just wait for people to dial in. Oh my God, this is the end.
This is the end as we know it, and I feel fine.
Let me change that up. Just a sec, quickly. I have actually one super cool.
People are already commenting. We're here. People are happy to be here. As you come in, let us know where you're from. Where are you? Bum, 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 bum. Central Florida, Portland, Oregon, Fremont, California, Miami, Arizona, Venezuela, living in Miami, Canada, Sacramento, Portland as well,
Yeah, that's Tyler. You're in Portland. All
Puerto
right,
Rico, San Jose, Brazil, zil, 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 zil.
San Francisco. By now, everybody should know, but
Kios in Doral.
Los Angeles.
Oh man,
Very cool. Orlando, Cali, Cali in Colombia. Luis. Oh, California. Okay. Mine's coming from the new Venezuela, which I don't know what this is.
Doral, where Guillermo lives.
Is that what it is?
Hmm.
So
Frank, how many people do you actually see on your screen?
The participants right now is like 45.
Okay, well, we don't
But
see
you,
them. We
yeah,
only
nah, we don't see them. Nah,
they
they're
don't see
they're
us.
they're gonna see us because this is when you do these zooms, these are more webinar style. When you do the
Yeah,
Zoom regular chat, you see everybody.
a whole lot of people.
A whole lot of people. We got somebody from the UK, Nathaniel, Los Angeles.
Navi, Loic, last November was my first music expo. Since then, I became a sincere follower. Thanks for your service to the creative community. These are very valuable. Well, thank you, Navi. And I want to thank actually all the presenters who've been joining us for the years. And, we have Frank here who's been actually spearheading. It's been making me work very hard the last couple of weeks because he's the one who said, why don't we do an online version of Music Expo? And I say, yes, absolutely. Can you get Salam to do our keynote? I'll see what I can do. And here we are. So this is really a privilege to end our today's session with our two presenters today. I want to thank everybody for being with us the last 2 days. This is really exciting. This session is provided to you by Lepwing Audio, which you've heard about for the last couple of days. There's a raffle, and Anna's going to drop the link to how to sign up to the raffle. If you haven't already signed up, they will pick someone, a lucky winner. But we're really, really thankful for all the presenters for the last 2 days, all the sponsors helping us. And to be very frank, I didn't ask any money to the sponsors. I said, can you just get us some cool stuff for the attendees? And they did, and they all stepped in. I think everybody will get a copy of the IK Multimedia Total Studio Trio, or at least everybody who attended, because we have enough copy for everybody. And then you will be selected in the next couple of days. You will hear either from me or from Anna to know if you've won any other prizes. But without further ado, I want to pass it to Frank, who can do a much better job than me of introducing Salam, because I've followed actually what Salam has done as in his career, and I'm just mind blown. So I'm gonna be just sitting quietly and listening to all the things you have to share, guys. To you.
Cool. Thank you, Loic, and thank you to to all the presenters. Everybody who's here. All you guys are attending. I'm super happy to do this. I'm been a big fan of Salam for a long time, and eventually got to work with him. And I'm super proud to say that we're actually friends now. So it's really cool to be able to do this. So this is like a lot of you guys know who Salam is. and you've probably read his credits, the music he's done, and you're familiar with a lot of the stuff. But one of the things that I wanted to do for you guys, which is really cool, is like I was actually able to sit with Salam a lot and sit there with him and like watch the process. So I wanted to kind of like ask him a few questions that I felt you guys should know because I think it's really important. But as well, I also wanted to have you guys also ask your questions. So the Q&A still goes. Drop your questions in the Q&A, and I will try to get to them. But I'm also going to kind of be leading the conversation in a way that I think will be helpful to all you guys that are actually listening, who are songwriters, producers, music makers in general. He doesn't need that much of an introduction, the incomparable Mr. Salaam Remi. So can I get a number one or a clap in that chat right now if you guys are happy to be here? Let me see those ones. Yes, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Salaam, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. Just quick, just again, I'm gonna be dropping little tidbits for those of you who don't know, and maybe you've seen it on his Instagram. That's Salam's dub room. It's kind of his enclave, is his little man cave space. It's probably one of the rooms in the studio that makes a lot of the music in the beginning. It's a lot of fosters a lot of ideas in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of vinyl in there. There's a lot of ideas in there, and so I think it's really fitting that he chose that space today to do this. Um, so, uh, just real quick, Salam, you're from Queens, New York.
Yeah, New Yorker. First of all, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm in the dub room because it's really my vibe day, and I feel like it's a new year and it's a new set of energy for me, as I had a birthday a couple days ago. But yeah, I'm from Queens, New York. Born in Manhattan, but grew up in Queens, moved to Manhattan in probably 2000 and, no, 2000, 1989. When I got out of high school, I moved with my dad, and then I moved to Miami in 2001, 2002.
Dope, amazing. So I'm gonna jump right in just because the hour goes by super quick. So,
Yep.
um, one of the things that I think is interesting, I think is people should know is that a lot of times when you meet an artist for the first time, the first day, there's no music really made. You more kind of take time and just get to know that person. So, can you tell me a little bit about that and what is it that you're trying to just hear from that person and
It's twofold. One thing is that, no matter what you see from someone when you hear a record, I'm hearing what that producer or that composer or that songwriter captured from that person. That doesn't mean that's what the person's potential is. So sometimes until you talk to someone, you won't know what their favorite record is, why they write songs, what their perspective is, everything that comes up. So what I try to do is just kind of give them room to kind of just relax. And a lot of times I do it in this room, exactly. I sit down and I just I have a couch that's almost like a therapist couch. And they sit down and start talking. And then they start saying stuff that they didn't even realize they would say. And for me, it also helps because I'm able to hear their inner thoughts that they might not even realize they came up with. So then also the second part is for them to also get some time to have a conversation with me where I'm able to tell them things about myself. And then they also get a chance to say, oh, I trust you. I'm into what you're saying. I'm down with what's going on. So it's a twofold thing because it's like speed dating. They've had their whole career. They might be rich, they might be poor, they might be happy, they might be sad. They're having a good day, they're having a bad day. If I don't get some music that means something, then it makes no difference because you'll never hear it again. So my first day, and then sometimes we might talk for 10 hours, and the last hour we make some music, but that music usually comes out with a little bit of a different twist because what I'll be able to present to them will be something that they might organically either be challenged by or fall right into what they always wanted to do. And at the same time, their mind is already thinking about our conversation.
facts and obviously I was able to be present in a lot of those situations and one of the things you always would tell people is like what's the conversation, like what are we talking about, you know how did that come up, like where does that come from, like what is you know
Well, I think the breaking point for me was I did a lot of beats early in my career, And when I worked with the Fugees, the same track that I had made for Fat Joe that he didn't use, that not to say he wouldn't have had the same conversation, the same track actually turned to something else with the Fugees with Fujila. So it really made me stop and realize, you know what, I can have the same chord changes, the same drum beat, everything else going on, but if I don't get the right song on it, then it doesn't make a difference. So my production actually shifted from being beat focused to being song focused. And then I can always make 5 different versions of beat. And that's really what it comes down to. Songs like Jasmine Sullivan's Bust Your Windows or Lions and Tigers, she had an idea in the start of it. And then, you know, I went another level with being able to go outside the box with the arrangement because I made sure that the song was strong. And that's really what it comes down to. You know, when you went with me to Prague, you know, when we originally recorded those songs, it was an idea and kind of some chords and a little piece. And it was cool. But when we went to Prague and put the orchestra on it, we were able to take it to another level because the song was strong, because I asked the questions. And I remember we were at, you and me, I think before we went to Europe, we were at Quad Studios in Manhattan. That was probably one of the only sessions we did there. And I laid out the basis of Bust Your Windows. And I looked at her mom and was like, you know, I think I'm going to do an orchestra. You got any ideas? And her mom looked at me and said, I don't know, maybe a tango? And I was like, boom, that's it. And then I sat down at the hotel that day and pretty much laid out the basis of the track. And we went to Europe and really, you know, got in the Dolphin and recorded with the 63-piece orchestra. But the idea was just to have a conversation, figure out what the song is. And once I have a good song, I might have the artist for the day, but I have the song for weeks and months to keep changing around that arrangement.
Dope. Now there's a very particular question that I would see you ask, and it wasn't to everybody, but I would see it asked, and I would see the reaction, and you would ask people what their favorite Stevie Wonder song is. So what's like, what are you looking for there? Like, what kind of answers, or what does the song they pick tell you?
Well, it was kind of like it's twofold. It's one is, are you paying? Stevie Wonder is my favorite songwriter. So it was number one, like you saying, you like, I like Isn't She Lovely, and I like Happy Birthday to You, well, then that's telling me you're on one side of the spectrum. If you're like, I like Seems So Long and Think of Me as Your Soldier, oh, you're in another spectrum. Because I felt like Stevie Wonder covered so many different ways. And then also, you know, I had a thing where I would say, if you're on vacation till you run out of Stevie Wonder songs, you've been on vacation too long. And there were so many other songs, it was just like asking them that, and they go, wow. People like, you know, because people love to say, hey, who are your favorite artists? And they'll name Stevie Wonder. I'm like, what songs, though? Because there can be any different perspective, and then also tell me something musically about what is resonating with them.
Facts, love it. People are dropping. Go ahead, drop in your favorite Stevie Wonder song in the chat. Let's see
exactly.
what's.
I'm not judging you. I'm just listening.
It'd be like a horoscope, Stevie Wonder song, horoscope. So, you know, going back to, you know, what you mentioned about Fujila and whatnot, you came up in an era where there was a lot of like remixes and stuff. Like early on, you were saying you're making a lot of beats. How do you feel like that? Like even to this point, how does like it affect your style of production and your choices and whatnot? Or how did it help you even as well, like doing remixes and stuff like that?
Remixes were great because kind of like similar to my production stuff now. My remixes weren't just like throw a beat underneath it and turn the reverb on the snare. My remixes were really new arrangements to the same song. So what I would do is basically the vocal is fixed. I can't change the vocal. I don't have access to the vocalist. They're doing what they're doing. I would now go in and find a whole nother set of chord changes that might change the mood against the same song that maybe someone didn't hear before. I would find a way that within the first 10 seconds, you felt like getting up or you felt like chilling out or whatever type of remix I was doing. It had to be urgent, it had to hit the point, and it had to be specific to a win. So for me, the remixes gave me the advantage of, okay, if you're going to go A, well, then I'm going to figure out what letters I'm going to put before and after A to make the word that I'm trying to get it to. And, you know, it's a skill that I still use because, like I said, I can record a song and it might just have, you know, you've seen me do it a million times, 2 chords or, you know, In the case of Amy's Tears Dry on Their Own, which I've kind of showed people recently, it was a ballad that I listened to it, and I was like, you know what, this music here can fit against that, where she didn't hear it, but I was able to put it together and hear how I could take this song and give it a whole nother vibe, and also give the vibe of the track something that is also going to support the songs and support the lyricists and help the person that's doing it go to another level.
Word. I love it. I mean, so many times that somebody's asking like, when you're working on various projects, how do you keep yourself focused on that specific project so it doesn't start to blend over to something completely different? But I think one of the cool things that I saw, in all the time that we were together was that sometimes there were songs that were started at one point and they would transform over months and become something else. And I think that it wasn't a situation where you were trying to separate things. I think it was always kind of like you were trying to figure out what was best for the song all the time is one of the things that I noticed. And sometimes to the agreement of the artist and sometimes to the disagreement of, the artist or the label.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, like when you're trying to like get to whatever the end is there certain things that you look for at the end? Like, is there a feeling? Is it like a sound, or is there something you're looking for?
There's songs that I've recorded 10, 15, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, some stuff 30 years ago, that when I push play on it right now, somebody goes, ooh, what's that? And I'm saying, no, I did this in 92. No, I did that in 2000. No, I did that in 2015, like all these different things. And they're still liking it. And I go for a few things. Number one, I like to work with artists who have distinctive voices. Their instrument has a tone to it that makes me go, I want to listen to what they're saying because the tone of their voice captures my attention. So then now they have to move around with it. The next part is I like distinctive instruments. When I'm putting a tone into a record, I want these tones, whether it's a kick, a snare, a bass tone, I want them to resonate with me so that now I'm either feeling, comfortable or uncomfortable, but they're doing something and not just, wallpaper. So what I'm ultimately trying to get is something that I remember. So many times somebody can play me something and I'm listening to it, but it'll go off and I won't remember what I heard them say or what the music was really doing. The melodies, the rhythm, the lyrics, and the tone of the person speaking and the person singing's voice, they all have to go together to create an anomaly that's just like, that's a moment. And when you have something that you capture the moment, and also the other musician in the room is the engineer capturing it properly, which I engineer myself, but you capture that many, many times, when we did How Many Drinks for Miguel, it was cool. G recorded the vocal and it had something. But I remember early one morning, sometimes you would come to the studio, and that's when I lived in the back room of the studio. But when the door opened at a certain time and Frank walked in whistling, he saw something driving to work that was nice. So the door would open, and I hear him walking up the stairs to my studio. I'm like, oh, Frank's in a good mood. And I remember the day that you sat down and worked on How Many Drinks, which the track was what it was. The stuff was there, but you put something in the sonic that made how the vocal dropped with the 808 and how it all came together. It became a record, and we had How Many Drinks for 3 or 4 years before it was ever released, but it still captured the same moment. And that's lyrically how Miguel sang it, how the 808 hit, how the music fell together. It just created a moment. And that was the moment for me when we got that little rough mix and it put it together. And then we went and added stuff to the end, but that's the moment. And that's really what I'm looking for. I'm looking to capture something that makes me go, ooh, I like that. And I know what you said because I felt it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I bring up to people a lot, like, especially people who are interested in being producers and they're like, yo, I'm like, yo, try to work with maybe an up and coming producer in your area. And I always bring up how there would be times where we'd be like, you would start making a track and you'd be like, yo, Frank, like, do something to this, like kind of put a rough mix on it. And I think because you were trying to like maybe hear where it was going to go or kind of figure it out. So I always recommend that people try to work with somebody, try to develop that rapport, that relationship, so that you can have that back and forth with that person that that person might inspire you to do some other stuff. I want to talk a little bit about music business, because one of the things that I was always impressed with was like you handled a lot of your own business, and you know, when we talk about producers, we always hear like, oh, so and so makes X amount of beats a day and da, 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 and all this stuff. But the reality is like I remember getting to the house, and like a lot of the early part of the day sometimes was spent with you on the phone, you know, talking to people, figuring stuff out, making calls, and and just having to deal with that part of it. So like where does that business acumen come from? I know your dad was in the music business, but you know, what is something that's kind of like what are some things that you learned along the way that you were like, yo, that was really important, or maybe like a book you read or something somebody told you? Because like I always
Um,
felt like your business stuff was on point.
you know what it was? I think, number one, my dad was in the business. He came in as a musician to an arranger to a producer to getting ripped off and deciding he wanted as a grown man to go intern at a record company. He was it Robert De Niro? He went and interned at their own record company in his 30s. But he started on the street team and then ended up, being in a director position and a manager and many things pretty quickly because, of course, he was a seasoned musician who's done many things and knew how to talk to people. So for me coming up, I was, understanding that, and I have a math brain. I pretty much remember numbers. I remember your birthday. I remember anything that's going on. Today I text 2 or 3 people happy birthday because I remember the numbers. The numbers stick with me. So, and then I also went to college for business management, for all those things, just because of my relationship with math and, accounting and things on that level. So what I did was, at first, I'd be in the studio. We would do the overnight sessions where we can get cheap mixed studio time on the SSL. So I would do like the 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. session, to get in there to get the $90 an hour SSL time, and, hustling, trying to keep, all in budgets that I was able to get some money. Because if I got 10 grand for a remix and I had to spend 5 of it on studio, I'm done. But if I get everything prepared and we knock it out in that 10-hour lockout, cool, I got 9 grand left. So let's stay focused. So what I would do is, at first I was on that, and my dad was like, look, no matter what you do, wake up and check the bank first, know where all your business is at. You can go back and take a nap at 11 or 12. But before 9, make sure you know where your business is at and make a couple calls so people are working on your behalf while you're going to the studio. If you don't check in with them till later on in the day, you call them at 3 o'clock, okay, I just woke up. They only got 2 hours before their work day is done, and now you missed the whole day. So that was part of it. And then, overall, all the way to the time when I went to Sony, in 2012 as executive vice president of music overall, reporting to the great Doug Morris, who was the CEO of CEOs. It was great for me because I saw a side of the business that I hadn't gotten from 1988. My dad was in marketing meetings from 1982. So from 82 all the way to 2012, 30 years, I heard a lot of stuff and I understood a lot of the workings, but I didn't understand it from the big corporation looking out and figuring out how to navigate, how to get something to win, what you're going to lose. I didn't understand it from the CEO of a record company's perspective. So I think in general, the most of all, what I learned is, number one, if the first one doesn't work, make another one. Somebody that's like, hey, I got the biggest record in the world. Cool. It's going to be open in 4 weeks. You got something to come behind it? What's happening? How are you going to keep it moving? 2, I understood that it's not the biggest artist in the world that's going to make your hit. Somebody can say, I have this record and I need Beyonce and Rihanna and Drake and Adele to sing it on a duet. It'll be huge. Guess what? Whatever they feel like singing will probably be halfway huge, even if it wasn't good. You have to figure out how to make someone into that. So, over the years, working with Amy Winehouse at 18, Lauryn Hill at 18, Jasmine Sullivan at 13 or 14 to finally being 18, Miss Dynamite in the UK, all these different artists, I was able to work with them before they broke. And then when we got into really getting to where they could really break and do something bigger, I grew with them. I grew with Miguel. Miguel's first 2 albums I did the title track on. Even though he's produced himself and his signature record to date is How Many Drinks, I still was able to get in with them when they were on the come up and give them some jewels. And I can't ask for the level of talent that I've had the opportunity to collaborate with, I would be rude to ask for this level of talent. All I can say is that my success was also based on me having the taste to go, you know what, this one's got something special. Even when sometimes the label didn't believe in it, didn't song, or they didn't believe in the artist. If I believed it and I felt like it was good, I would connect with them and then help them grow. And those relationships have helped me, you know, through my career, all the way to when I don't want to work with more people. So, you just don't.
I've definitely been a witness to that. I think that how do you feel about, you know, being somebody that I think labels and artists and stuff, when I think sometimes they think about you, they think of somebody that's going to kind of make them stretch and kind of push to this other place. Um, is that something that you feel like is like a pigeonhole for you, or is it kind of like, you know, do sometimes you just want to make
Um,
you know, a trap record, like you just,
to be honest, you know, I've played, you know, as you know, I do all types of music. There's styles of music that I produce that people never heard. They don't even know I do it or I exist, or they might not even associate it with me. But I think in general, I don't feel pigeonholed. I feel blessed because I show up when something good's happening, and I leave before something bad happens. I'm kind of like the sixth man. If I'm the sixth man, if I show up and help out and it works, see, yeah, give me the ring because I was here. I made it work. But then if it doesn't work, you should have put me in first. I don't know why you had me on the bench. You know, so I have an in and out as the sixth man, and I don't really have to deal with what everybody else is doing. And you know, that's kind of fun. But in general, no, I don't feel. I feel like, you know, people call me their counselor. To be honestly, you know, mentally it's sometimes heavy because some of the best artists have a lot of stress in their life, and I'm able to talk them through it and get the song done. And they sometimes find, you know, my greatest commerce has also been my greatest art.
facts.
And if that's the case, that's a blessing. But also, some of those people were really stressed out when they created it. So to get back to it, we got to go through that stress car wash. And you're like, how are we gonna do that again? I'm like, I'm too old for this now. Y'all on your own. I'm just on the other side though. Like, it has to be something else. So I just think it's vibes. I mean, the career that I've had, you know, dating back to the '80s to now, I thank God for it every day. But I'm also content with not making another record if it's not good. I want to add, you know, I have 50,000 songs in my iTunes now. If I'm adding one more, it better be a good one or delete it. It's not worth it. So I'd rather sit around and have it, you know, until it feels good and something feels really strong. But it's also, just like I said, it's just relationships. Keep my atmosphere, my environment, my studios. You know, there's more artists that have come through my studio and recorded something that's never come out than the ones that have come throughout. But we have relationships that, hey, this is what you want to do. I'm coming by the house. I'm going to get mangoes. Cool. Mango season. What do you want to do? We're all really comfortable in making stuff happen.
Word. Um, uh, and again, like a lot of these questions are from my experience, and I just think it's valuable for people to hear this stuff.
Right.
Um, we would have, you know, artists come by, and you know, sometimes the label will call, or somebody would be like, oh, I want a song like the one that you did for, you know, and although you would be like, yeah, come through, but it was never that. So, you
No.
know, what is the thought how do you feel when you hear that? What was like the thought process like? Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Like,
I think that you can get your signature record, you know, because I've ended up making a lot of artists, you know, signature records in a certain way. But it's not going to sound like the last person's signature record. A lot of people have a signature sound that's a drum beat, a tone of their drums, the way that they chop something up, a mix. What I do is I make the artist think and feel good, and it's capturing that vocal. When that vocal's captured, they sound different because they sound like they're really explaining themselves very clearly in a way that you wouldn't have been able to hear them before. And then what I'm doing is taking the music and making sure I don't fuck it up. I don't mess up the story. I keep it open. You know, sometimes when I do a track over and over, I'm really trying to figure out how to get the story across and not get in the way of the vocal. That's my job. Stay out of the way of the vocal. Give us some space. You know, songs with no drums, songs with just drums. You know, I never want to hear the bass line for When Doves Cry. Why? Because it's going to get in the way of that story that I love. You know, maybe there is a bass line, but I don't know. I don't need it. You know, it's just really figuring out the arrangement. So I just think when everybody wants to hear the same thing, you know, you've been around, you've seen me say, hey, I'm going to send the money back. You know, just having this life. I've done it a couple times because I'm just not.
I've seen it.
Copycat. And it kind of, people get taken aback when I say, you know, I've sent the money back a couple times, but life's too short. You know, I'd rather do something that I really like than sitting down with doing stuff. And when I have chemistry with an artist, you can't stop us from recording. You know, there's way too many Nas, Jasmine Sullivan, and whoever else records in the can. Like we create because we do.
Yeah, I love it. So you know, with your time you spent at Sony, seeing it from the other side, I know you've always released music. You've always had label. You've always done different endeavors as far as releasing music. Does that give you a different approach now for when you release music and in this digital space now that's a little bit different? Or is there something that you picked up there that you know?
I just think where we are now, I was able to see it from the inside out. And, you know, I went through a lot of artists that had huge budgets to kind of make things happen, chasing pop radio, chasing R&B radio. The biggest song that I had on my label I was there was Omi's Cheerleader, which was something that wasn't big on the front end, it was big on the back end. And it's really about getting the right song and sticking with it and working to it in the long run. So my current thought process is let's get out here and make music and make it available. If people like it, they're going to like it in 6 months. They're going to like it in a year. They're going to like it in a year and a half. And let's see what music is going to persevere through that. Everything that I signed from Hiatus Coyote to Mac Wiles to, you know, The Brinks to everything, I was proud of it musically speaking. You know, I met one of the probably most talented artists I've ever met in my life. It's artist named Crowd from Chicago. But we just couldn't get the record right under that situation. You know, I signed Snow Allegra during that time. Snow Allegra was signed to Sony under a different situation, but we didn't get all the way to where she needed to get at that time. So it was better for her to continue her journey in the way that they've done it, you know, with her team, you know, with Isabella Nardi, doing what they did. But, you know, my thing is if I can be proud of someone's talent and where they end up and how it goes, and it just keeps growing. So I just feel like the main thing I learned was just make what you really like, and then if it's great, it's going to get there.
Amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about equipment because I don't think that, you know, I think only a few people are probably privileged to see all the equipment and I think it's really interesting. I don't know if you want to do it right now, but if you were to turn that iPad around, there would be an old Tascam board there that records the tape in front of you. And I don't think people understand like to the depths that sometimes you go to look for a sound. There's that picture of Mr. Perry behind you. And I know you're a big fan of dub. So, you know, how did you come to that, like the dub stuff? And I know that, you know, when I first met you, that 555 was busy. It was getting busy on a regular basis, and there was a lot of tone searching and stuff like that. So, you know, where does that come from? Where does the dub stuff come from?
Well, I'll just go back to my engineering journey. I mean, it started. You know, I was a kid. I had the Yamaha Porter Sound where I could program. Then I had a Roland 707 with an Alesis, some little funny Alesis reverb thing, and a 4-track, a Yamaha 4-track. But Marley Marl was playing Funky Drummer, looped up in the SP1200, and I'm playing a 707. I'm like, Dad, I just can't get the drum sound to sound like Marley Marl sound. Like, I'm like, I got it. I programmed just what he did. But it don't sound the same. Like, whoa. And then he's like, man, just put a little more reverb. But he wasn't catching what was happening. And I realized the reason why I was sampling was I was not only sampling the notes that were being played, but the resonance of the notes, how it was coming together in that tape compression on the record, the reverbs that it was going through, the tone of the drums, how the drums were mic'd. So by the time we started working together in, what was that, '04, well, we worked together before that, I think 02 or 03, but just in that time, by the time I was living in Miami, I'd already gone through buying an SSL studio, having my own EMT plates, buying wirelesses, organs, Rhodes, anything you could think of. I really went on a deep dive because I wanted to be able to create the sounds that were in the samples I love. Having multiple drum kits, finding ways to mic them, getting through, you know, sitting down talking to older engineers from Jim Gaines to, you know, Gary Noble, who works with me. We went through a lot just figuring out processes over the years of how we would get stuff. You know, knowing how I would work my S950 and my SP1200 and all those different things. Knowing how we would continue to stack stuff up. So what ended up happening for me in the long run was that I developed, okay, cool. Yes, I do like having this whole big room so I can make a dub record. But if I work this digital performer with these sweeping EQs to this rolling 555, I'm able to get close to what I wanted. Yes, I love having these drums. But if I put this 87 on this mic in a certain position and record it, I'm getting a certain thing that I'm missing from other stuff. And then those best practices just kind of stuck with me. And then we continued to learn them. And then the things that we worked on together, I got best practices again. And I continue to just keep trying. And a lot of times people say it's the machine that's doing it. But it's also the person. Like, how did we, in an empty house with a snake running down the floor with digital performer and a pair of Lisa speakers, recreate the Motown tears drawing their own, you know, Ain't No Mountain High track? Because we knew what we wanted to hear, and we kept messing with stuff in order to achieve that. You know, those times when I thought I couldn't get this sound possibly, how am I going to do it? Well, I don't have James Jamerson, but guess what? I got an Ampeg. It's not the same one. I got a Precision Squire, not the Precision P-Bass, but we sat down and I knew what I wanted to hear. And, you know, it's the man. It's not the machine. What thing do you use? Give me a snare. Or what? You want a piccolo snare? I'm hitting the snare and getting what I want out of it. You know, I'm not Ableton Open now, but then I'll use Logic 9 and maybe Logic 10. And then before that, I'll just have an MP setup or whatever it is. It's whatever's in my head. You know, I still have my old cassettes that I grew up with all behind me. I listen to these things because I know exactly what I did. I don't know what this one says on it. But anyhow, like, I have everything that I've ever used to create within my space. And the whole idea is, as much as it's the machine, it's the imagination. If you have imagination and you have some know-how, the first beats I made on Logic ended up becoming Nelly Furtado records. The first things that, you know, I did with any machine that I kind of messed around with, you know, the first beats that I made with the SP1200, yeah, some of that became Fuji line, not the Fuji's records. I hadn't really used it before. I was figuring it out, but I also was approaching it. The first beats I made on, you know, Ableton became some SZA records that didn't come out. Like, I'll just kind of keep messing with the machine because I understand the basics of engineering and programming, and then let's see what we capture, because it has to be a bit of an experiment in order for us to get what we need.
Facts. And you know, I can attest to your engineering knowledge. As an engineer, it's definitely nice to be able to talk to somebody that understands, but also can communicate. So for you guys who are producers out there who are interested in just being songwriters or whatever, just understanding the jargon a little bit will help you like achieve, because sometimes Salam will say, "Yo, I need this to sound, you know, whatever," and you know, we would try stuff, and just because he's coming from a creative situation or mindset, he wouldn't necessarily be held by the confines of, "Yo, you can't EQ that because it's gonna distort." You know, it was more like, "Yo, just do it and let's see," and that was always eye opening for me. So obviously, like, people, you know, people want to know about the Amy stuff, and I'm sure you've spoken to it, you know, to this point, you know, a lot. But I think it's really interesting. One of the stories is why you were first approached to work with Amy from the beginning. It was a record that she heard, right? A record you had done.
Yes. So there's a song I did by Lisa Left Eye Lopez called Block Party, which was the single, probably the only single she had off of her Supernova record that had a video that was like, whoa. But the song itself was really interesting. It had myself and Keon Bryce singing on it. It was a Udu drum with some Earth, Wind, and Fire stuff. It was a really, Marvin Gaye inspired. It was a different type of record. But Amy heard it and she said, whoever knows how to make that work is going to know how to make something different for me that's going to be able to work. And she went and she ended up getting signed. They sent her out to me, and then I heard her. When I first heard demos, once again, that was me judging off of what someone else captured. So the songs Amy, 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 maybe one more song off her album. It sounded cool, but I couldn't tell if it was Wanna Be Erica Badu. I'm just listening to a cassette or a CD at the time. I'm just like, why? When I heard her sing, and she sang Girl from Ipanema, and it lit up the room that I was in, I was like, okay, cool. You can really sing, so now I can give you some space. I need to hear that you can sing on your records. So the miking technique, the U47 into the Avalon 737 started and never ended there because of what it captured with her vocal and how it captured it. And then I heard Love is Blind and Cherry that day because I was just like, now say what you want to say. And she's like, can I swear it? Say what you want to say exactly to it. And we're going to make it sound so elegant that people are going to wonder what just happened. Did she really get up here and say that? So that was the initial part of it. And, our chemistry just came from her trusting me to find a way to make sure that her voice is still heard and also pushing her to just say what she really wanted to say. She had a lot to say, as you know, all the time. Amy is 98% jokes. Most of the time, she's going to have something smart to say, like no matter what day. Something smart to say. You're just going to laugh. She's like the bad kid that you should be mad. Did she really say that? But then you're laughing like, yo, the kid said that. You trying not to smirk like, oh,
That's
most of the Frank album and a lot of Back to Black too is punchlines. The whole reason for me and Mr. Jones is because she wanted to figure out how to say, you don't mean dick to me. She wanted to say, you don't mean dick to me, meaning, literal, and also just has the old phrase. So she built the whole song around it. Comedian.
I mean, whenever people ask me, that's always my answer is, the most honest person you've ever met. Like that 3-year-old honesty, like you ugly, like type, like, you know what I'm saying? Like she was just gonna say it, and it was just like you can't do nothing about it. Like it's too bad. So,
Exactly.
I got a couple of questions here from the crowd. One of them, Ainsley, is asking, what was it like to remix two Marvin Gaye tracks from his unreleased album? And I know Marvin Gaye, you're a big Marvin Gaye fan, so what was that?
Yeah. Marvin's my favorite artist. My trifecta is Dennis Brown is my favorite singer. Marvin Gaye is my favorite artist overall. The albums, man, how he did it. Stevie Wonder is my favorite songwriter. Well, Harry Wenger from Universal, who I've known for a long time, many, many moons ago, I was helping a lot. Marvin Gaye's, what song is my favorite? Since I'll Be Loving You on Soon I'll Be Loving You from I Want You album. But basically, he contacted me. He was like, look, I got a couple days. We don't have a budget. But if you had time, there's these couple of Marvin songs that we need to put together. And I know, you're going to know what to do with it. I don't know. I just want to send it to you to see if you can figure it out. So he sent it to me, and I was really busy at the time. But what ended up happening is after I finished my sessions, like at 11 or 12 at night, I would just turn the lights down in the studio, and I just pulled up the tapes, and I was listening through it, trying to figure out what was missing to make it feel like what I wanted to hear. And I didn't add anything to the track. So I added, on Last Chance, I added the sax at the very end, the sax. But I just felt like it needed that tagline to take me all the way home. But in general, it was just really trying to make sure that the bass was resonant enough. The vocals where I wanted it to. Symphony, it was taking some of the stuff out of the way and then leaving room for some of the arrangements to really kick in the right place. Because they were already there, just kind of giving it all the pieces and, making that space there. But, I've had so many things that I can say, did this really just happen? Did I just really work on Marvin Gaye tracks at this point? And, everybody likes it? Like, how did I get here? I really can't tell you how I got here, but all I can tell you is that it was a spiritual moment for me just because I felt like his spirit was in the room while I was working on it.
Amazing. When you are, because in my time there, I saw a lot of new artists come through. You know, people who we didn't know who they were or not yet, and I always saw that you had the same level of, it was always the same level of respect, and you know, kind of treat them exactly as if they were the biggest artists in the world. Like you always treated everybody the same, and I think that that really helped some of those young artists with their nervousness. But obviously, there were some people that were more nervous than others. What are some of the, you know, kind of things that you kind of do to kind of ease their fears, and if there's anything like you can kind of talk about that, because I saw that a lot, and I think that's really important for anybody who wants to be a producer, just kind of.
I think two things. One is I like to listen to artist music with them there because I'm letting them talk and explain to me what is in their process. So then I'm also seeing how they want to do it. And then the other part is most artists don't have anyone listen to them. They're at a point where they're begging to get on, you know, especially in the early parts, and they really want to be there. See, they might be a little too arrogant, as some artists are, or they really want someone to listen to them. And I just take time and listen to what they're saying and try to make sense of it. Like, oh, you said that, so why did you say that? Okay, oh, you want to do this, this, and this? You know that happened before, like 30 years ago, right? Well, this might have happened before, and then putting them onto new music and expanding their palette. You know, off the Hear My Dear album, I played Rico Love and many other people. When Did I Stop Loving You? When did you stop loving me? When did I stop loving you? Just as a songwriting thing, like, you know, he's had to give his wife all the money for the album, but the way he wrote it out, it's not a chorus to the end of the song, but it was still explained in a way that was melodically captivating, as well as lyrically so true to the point that it was almost scary. So I think that you know, the main thing that I do with artists is kind of put a battery in their back. And normally what happens, whether it's the Fugees or, you know, Lunch Money or whoever else, they'll come back and say, hey, you know what? I did this thinking, what would Salaam say right now? And it's not because I want them to think about what I would say. I want them to think about what's their fullest potential. And, you know, they make their records, you know, like I said, I help get people to a point where they make their best records on their own.
I love it. So I got two more. One person asking like, as far as like fees, writing splits, percentage, credits, like, do you work that out beforehand? You know, who do you talk to about that stuff? Like, and maybe this answer should be maybe from a younger producer standpoint. You know.
I think that if you go into a thing trying to work out a split before you even get there, it's kind of a bad premise to me. You know, it's kind of like, you know, you can all go in and say, hey, we're all going to split evenly no matter what happens. But I just feel like, just be fair. You know what I'm saying? If it's not fair, then you're not coming back, right? So, you know, some people have a perspective where whoever's in the room is split. But I've gone in a room where I wrote 80% of the record and maybe got, you know, a 10% split at the end of it. And I don't really like it that much. It's cool, oh, thanks, but I don't really like it that much. But then sometimes I get a 10% split and I might have done 2%. So it just depends on what it is. I don't really think that it's appropriate to just be like, sign my spreadsheet before you even get it there. It's like giving me the bill for the food before I even order. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going to be in the food. So it's kind of like, that's that. You know, with fees and different things like that, yes, it's appropriate for you to ask, but it's also better sometimes if you have someone else ask. Or you can say, well, this is what my fee is, but we'll work it out later, but I just want you to know what we're dealing with. But I think anytime you put money in the business before the creative in a abrasive way, it just takes a creative and pulls it apart. So it's times when my lawyers are like, I'm not doing this, this, that, and the third. And it's cool because, you know, that's the business part of it, especially when you're working with a corporation who will gladly eat all your time and never pay you for the song. I have more songs, and sometimes I have a song now, and they're like, hey, but we pay you for whatever session. I'm like, did you pay me? Well, if you didn't pay me, then how do you own it? You know, but they own the artist's work, but they don't own my work. So it's just kind of like, it's a whole give and take, but at this given point, I think that what everyone has in their advantages, you can do what you want to do. If you created something on your own, that's your master, you own it. You can put out instrumental albums galore, the same way that you put out instrumental mixtapes or these beat tapes that I have behind me. Those are instrumental albums, and if someone wants to use it, then they have to approach you like a sample clearance and license it from you because it's still owned by you before that. You know, there's so many ways now to approach things because we're in a digital age.
That is definitely a gem. We're about to wrap it up here, Salam. So I'm gonna flip your question on you right now. What's in your playlist?
Whoa. You know what's crazy? What's crazy? Like right now, I've been not really listening so much music during the pandemic. I haven't been able to watch Netflix. I've been kind of just like laid back. You know, the other day I was cooking. I was listening to old bossa nova playlist you gave me like 15 years ago. I think that I don't know. What do I listen to? I have modes. I have my Marvin Gaye stuff. My Sunday, I'm listening to rockers all day. Just a lot of Dennis Brown, a lot of just chilled out, soulful rockers, R&B music. I listen to bossa nova a lot. I listen to most things that are just somewhat soothing. That's where I'm at. When Love Calls by Atlantic Starr has been my wake up and brush my teeth song. It's got enough bop. It also has enough chill to it. The Nita Baker flavor. Things that have a combination. What I liked about Marvin Gaye's I Want You album in particular, and a lot of other stuff, is it has as much groove as it has melodic openness, and it takes you somewhere. So I love the tension in the chords, and I love the tension in hearing where it's going to go in the jazzic, in the jazzy side and all those things, but also like a basic drum and bass groove that kind of gets me in the pocket. And within that, that's really what it is. That's mainly what I listen to. Isley Brothers, much opener on the melody as it is on
Vibes.
right.
Vibes. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. If there's anything you want to tell the kids. Oh, wait, before there's a few more questions, which I'm not gonna be able to get to everybody, so I apologize for that. But if anybody
You can run through them, and if I have a quick one-word answer for some of them, I'll just say it.
I bet. So, what are current trends producers and artists should be aware of?
I don't know. What they're aware of, everybody's doing something right now to do it. I think what's missing is that you can't let the machine fool you. Be unique, no matter what's happening. Be unique. If there's one more snare and trap drums, then that guy's a genius.
That's it. Somebody asked, "What's the average time it takes to get a song out?" That one's a
release. It could be the same week. It could be 5 years. It could be anything. Depends on the predicament.
Somebody says they have an artist that reminds them of Amy. What would you do to capture her sound and bring her soul on her EP, LP records?
It has to start with the lyrics, then it's the vocal performance, then it's a unique arrangement.
All right. What genre of music has challenged you or pushed you outside of your comfort zone? How did you approach to prepare for that project?
What's really hard for me is corny pop records. And I only had to do them for like movies and things like that. But if it's something where you want it to sound very clean, almost like 1980s country drums, all my drums sound like breakbeats. Anything I play sounds like a breakbeat. If you want me to play a bass line that's just very simple and docile, I can't play it that well. I have to hire someone else who doesn't have my fingers to play it. If you want me to do anything that's really simple and straight ahead and very, Williamsburg coffee shop, that's not my thing. It's very hard for me to do things that don't have the sauce on it. My music has the brown sauce. It's the equivalent of oxtail gravy. You can spice white rice or rice and peas on any given day. My stuff is like Al Green's Undergrits. The bottom of the pot of grits. That's the music I listen to, and that's what I'm really pouring. I'm brown stew gravy. Barbecue sauce. Anything that's just really light and simple. I can do it sometimes, and I might catch a vibe for it, but I normally got a heavy thumb.
Somebody asked, who's your favorite rapper?
Slick Rick.
Slick Rick. Yes.
You remember the time we went to Hard Rock?
Yeah.
The only time I went to a concert and left my house was to see Slick Rick, and Biz was there. And Biz Markie skipped up to me from halfway across the road.
So long.
And was like, yo, he's like, so long. But yeah, Slick Rick is my favorite rapper. Always was and always will be.
Dope, dope. All right. Somebody asked about working stuff. So I know that you have your your do it for the culture,
Right.
and you have your louder
My
than
label,
life.
Louder Than
So
Life. So all music can go to, there's links on my social media. Talent at louderthanliferecords.com. Talent at louderthanliferecords.com. If you go to louderthanliferecords.com, you'll also see the website where we have all our merch. And, so I'm not going to sell this. I wore this. This is it. We have stuff like this on there. But in general, louderthanliferecords.com, and there's email links on my IG, on Louder Than Life's IG, on Do It For The Culture's IG. And, we hear all that music. We see what's what. And if something really inspires us outside the box to really push forward, then you'll get an email or a call.
real quick, because this one's from Loic and allow it. Favorite Stevie and Marvin song.
The Marvin song, soon as I'll Be Loving You. Soon I'll Be Loving You. From the I Want You album. The favorite Stevie song is Give Your Love from the My Chevrolet More album.
Amazing, amazing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Thank you so much, Salaam.
Thank you.
I can't express how much this means to me and to all of us. So guys, can we get some claps in that chat? Can we get some ones? Thank you guys so much for listening, participating. Thank you for giving us your afternoon on a Saturday. Salaam, belated happy birthday again.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. And I think that's it.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Salam, I just tweeted that it was one of my proudest moments of Music Expo. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, Frank.
Cool.
Thank you so much for making it really, really insightful. And I think this is the real way to wrap up, because we've seen a lot of techniques, we've seen a lot of tech, but at the end of the day, going back to what the artists want to say and express this is why we're in this business. So thank you so much.
Exactly. First things first.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, cool.
Guys.
Thank you all.
We see you soon. And everyone, you're welcome to join the after party, where we're going to do like last night. Everybody will be on the screen. We can chat live. And I think some of the speakers will be joining us. I think Frank, Gilio, Maria, maybe Piper will come back. So see you on the other side.